Hello and welcome to the Allplane podcast, here with the people that are redefining the future of commercial aviation. And as usual, before I introduce today's guest, the usual reminder that you can find all the previous episodes of this podcast, as well as many other aviation stories on the Allplane website. That's Allplane.tv, Allplane.tv. On today's episode, we visit a very exclusive segment of the aviation industry, executive jets, but not just any executive jet. We are actually going to talk about the highest end of this market, the highest end of the private jet market. Comlux is a company based in Switzerland that specializes in serving this very high end of corporate aviation. I'm talking here about aircraft that are like proper flying palaces, airliners that have been converted for VIP use. I will be talking with Arnaud Martin, the Chief Strategy and Corporate Development Officer at Comlux. And actually, before joining Comlux, Arnaud had been working already for several years in this market at Airbus Corporate Jets, which is the division of Airbus that builds many of those large corporate jets, which are essentially, airliner conversions. So he knows his industry inside out. And what's more, Arnaud has been instrumental in the launch of an entirely new category of executive jet. I'm talking about the TwoTwenty ACJ, which is the executive version of the Airbus A220 airliner. Comlux is the launch customer of this aircraft type and will also be fitting the first 16 aircraft. So what's so special about the TwoTwenty? Well, it basically provides the comfort of a large airliner, but combined with the economics of a smaller private jet. Well, I think it's best if we hear about all these directly from Arnaud. Hello, Arnaud. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from Zurich, which is the headquarters of our company, Comlux.
Yeah, indeed. I had the chance to visit your offices some years ago and learn a little bit about your operations because I wrote an article for CNN, the flying palaces, how the super rich travel the world. It became so popular. I mean, everyone was talking about that article. I mean, it was one of the most read articles that year, I think, on CNN. So it's a topic that it generates a lot of interest. So that's why I wanted to have a conversation with you guys more in depth to better understand how you guys work, because you are the Chief Strategy and Corporate Development Officer at Comlux, which is a company based in Switzerland that basically you specialize in, let's say, the higher end of the executive jet market, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So first of all, like I do with every guest, I'm going to ask you to first to introduce yourself and explain us a little bit about your professional background. And then, I would like to discuss a little bit how this industry works, like this higher end of the executive jet industry, and also some interesting projects you've been working on lately, like the corporate version of the Airbus A220. You called it the 220. So yeah, but let's start first by you and your professional background and a bit of context.
Okay, thank you, Ross. I'm 62. I'm French, as you can probably will notice on my accent. My career has been aviation since I get out of my engineering school. Spent 35 years now in aviation. I spent a lot of time first in Airbus, which was a privilege because obviously Airbus is a great company. I spent 28 years in Airbus in various roles, which were starting in the manufacturing engineering, then working on the cargo aircraft and being one of the architects of the Beluga aircraft, which is a bit of a special aircraft, and then going to the corporate jet aircraft already at Airbus, where I was finishing vice president of the corporate jet program. I then decided to change and go in Comlux, which is a very nice company, very diverse. And I'm in Comlux since 8 years. I've been the chief operating officer of the group. And I've recently changed to be chief strategy and corporate development officer, which is more overlooking of how the group will evolve in the next years, even with all my background and experience. So in a nutshell, that's who I am, a passionate of aviation. Okay, I love sailing anyway, but business-wise, I'm a passionate of aviation, and I spent all my life in aviation.
Yeah, I think that's something that many of those that listen to this podcast have in common with you, this passion for aviation. Tell me a bit more about Comlux, because it's a very unique company, I think, in the sense that it provides a whole range of services for this high end of the executive jet market. You basically you operate aircraft, but you also trade aircraft. You provide also the interior fitting for VIP aircraft, and a whole range of other related services for people that like to fly private.
Yeah, if I may, and first of all, you could be a very good marketing sales guy for Comlux.
Thank you.
Comlux is a quite young company, a little bit less than 20 years, 19 years now, and it's a unique company and group of company because this has been built up really to serve the very high-end market, and we are doing transaction. We buy and we sell aircraft, whether they are new aircraft or second-hand aircraft. We also operate aircraft and the range is going from Global 6000, I would set up to 777, Boeing 777. So we are really having a wide range of aircraft, but mainly in the high end of aircraft for private customer and for charter. And we also complete and maintain aircraft in our Indianapolis center, so which make us a little bit unique because I think we can do everything a VIP customer wants. I mean, whether he wants to charter an aircraft, we can do it. If he wants to buy an aircraft, we can do it for him. If he wants to modify his aircraft, we can do it. If he wants to maintain his aircraft, we can do it. And even if we want to resell his aircraft because he don't want to fly anymore, we can do it also. So I think our motto is really to try to always satisfy our customer in all his needs for business aviation, and in general, these type of customers, they are business aviation lovers, and they like to have partner like us, which can give us, I mean, many range of services with a large expertise in all the fields, which probably is a bit unique, I mean, in the business aviation, because we have really very diverse people, very diverse specialty in our company. I mean, if I can just give you, we're probably 600 employees, which is a mid-sized company, but we have 49 different nationalities. We probably have 25 different type of specialty in between engineers, pilots, cabin attendants, everything you want in aviation, we have almost probably, and we are located in 7 different places in the world, from the west to the east. So we are very diverse, and with this diversity, I think we can answer to the customer the best we can, giving always the best offer.
Yeah, because obviously the segment you operate in is very global. And one thing that caught my eye is that you are really very strong in this higher end of the market, because we've got a few executive aviation operators here on the podcast earlier, but maybe in your case it's perhaps the only one that is operating at this segment that is basically, it's airliners. So it's like an airliner, like the same aircraft that people take, like normal passengers take, but it's been fitted for a VIP mission. So that means that there's only a handful of people in the world that can afford that. Even for super rich people, that's like the very, very top.
Well, it goes from VVIP customers to government, but also now to sports team, which are very popular. And I think it requires a lot of attention and specialty, because all these people, they fly around the world, and we have aircraft which can do up to 19 hours of flight. If we speak about our Boeing 777 with 70 VIP passengers on board, so they can decide to go everywhere in the world. Now, recently we go to Ushuaia, and we have been to Tahiti from the US. We're going across the world everywhere. If you look at the flights we do, there is not one flight which is equivalent to the others. So you can imagine our operation people, the preparation that this is requiring for doing still a VIP service, because obviously you do that, but it's not an adventure for this passenger. It must be just perfect.
And how does this industry work? I mean, if you are a billionaire, let's say, or you are a large corporation that wants to have one of such aircraft, what would be the normal way to go? I mean, they would come to you and say, find me a plane with these characteristics, and then you manage the whole process? Or people tend to rent an aircraft for specific missions? Or I guess there's all sorts of situations here. But
well, there is many situations, but you're right. at least the people we know and we have worked with already and which are satisfied, at one point in time, if they have a project, they just come to us and said, okay, do you have this type of aircraft? Can you help us in purchasing this aircraft? And we have a relationship with the major manufacturer in the world, whether it's Airbus, whether it's Boeing, whether it's Bombardier or Gulfstream. So we are capable to go and negotiate with these guys. And then we can offer a turnkey solution to the customer, which is to say, okay, we will buy the aircraft for you. We will transform the aircraft if there is a need to transformation. And if you want that we operate the aircraft the first years before you have an operation company, if you want to have it, we can do it. So we are really proposing the full service. Obviously, the charter business is also providing some of the customers and some of our happy customers very happy by the service we delivered when we charter one of our aircraft, and which can say, okay, why you don't buy me an aircraft? And that has happened, by the way. Some of these customer can finish by buying an aircraft, and because they're, I will say, in confidence with somebody they know and somebody they trust in terms of their capability to be at the VIP level, they just give us the mandate in general, to do the whole transaction. So I think we are, if I may, I think Comlux is an innovative company because of its structure. It can propose everything to the customer. And I think that's one of the innovations which probably make us unique. And we do that for big aircraft, which are probably more complex in terms of either operation, but also acquisition and transformation. We do that for these big aircraft. So I think we have now the reputation to be capable to manage this type of very complex transaction for a customer. And I think that's one of our innovation strengths, I will say, in the market, which can differentiate us from our competition.
So you would provide everything all the way from the factory, the fittings, as we mentioned. You have your own in-house fitting center in the US, in Indiana. I don't know if you have also your own designers as well that can propose.
We have our own designers, and we use some other designers if the customer wants. But we have we have 4 designers working for us permanently. They are based in Indianapolis. Yeah. But these girls are at the latest of everything which is fashion and which is really nice and used by the people. I think we have also unique experience to be an operator. So when we want to propose an aircraft fitting or an aircraft cabin for a customer, we are doing that with the experience of our operation. We operate Airbus aircraft, Boeing aircraft, and we know exactly what are the constraints of this type of operation, so we can give the full experience to the customer.
So the crew, it's going to be I guess in some cases you provide the crew as well. So the pilots, exactly. The pilots are working for Comlux, but they are.
Yes. All the aircraft we operate, the pilots are our employees, and the cabin crew are our employees. We have air operator certificate to operate these aircraft commercially in Europe, in Aruba, which serve the US market, and in Kazakhstan, which serve more the East and Far East market. So we have pilot based everywhere there, and we have cabin crew based there, which are our employees, which work under our, I would say, control, quality control, training control, and which completely operate these aircraft under civil operation rules. In the 100% in the role, because this is fundamental, but also to be a VIP operator.
And one question, I guess, something that many people are asking themselves now, and I don't know if that's information that it's more or less public, but how much does it cost to fly a BBJ, a Boeing business jet, or an Airbus ACJ, Airbus corporate jet, like let's say on an hourly basis?
On an hourly basis, no, this is quite public, and
okay.
It depends, of course, always on the competition, but and the type of mission you want to do, if it's a long range or a short range. But the average is between $12,000 and $14,000 per hour, and depending on if you work on a long range or a short range mission. Obviously, if you work with a bigger aircraft like our 777, you can double this price easily. But these aircraft are much bigger. I mean, we start from an apartment of 80 square meter, and then you finish with an apartment of 180 square meters. So it's obviously not the same price. Mm-hmm. But this is the range of price that we are speaking in terms of renting this type of aircraft.
Yeah, just for reference for whomever may be listening that is not familiar with the BBJ or ACJ, those are the executive versions of the very popular airliners. The BBJ is basically a Boeing 737 VIP, and the ACJ is an Airbus A320 family corporate version as well. So those basically like having an airliner, but all for yourself, basically. And as you mentioned, there are other larger aircraft like the 777s and I think 787s as well. Yeah, those are even more rare. I mean, I guess most of them are.
That is really the niche market of the VIP market, which is, I would say, relatively rare, or not to say very rare in operations.
Here we will be.
The ACJ 320 or the BBJ are more the high-end, what we call the high-end market of this.
I guess governments as well use this.
Mainly government.
And you recently did something quite interesting, and that's something the next question I wanted to ask you is, you were the first customer. I don't know how much you got involved as well in the design of this, but you were the launch customer for the TwoTwenty, which is the Airbus A220, originally the C series, Bombardier C series, and then acquired by Airbus, which it's interesting because you kind of position it as a sort of a new category in this segment, right? It's sort of a halfway between a large purpose-built executive jet, like let's say like the high end of the Gulfstream or Bombardier series, and the BBJs and ACJs we were mentioning. So providing a bit of an interesting mix of performance and cost that can be quite interesting for operators. Can you tell us more about this TwoTwenty project?
I can tell you much more about this one, because this project occupied not a big part of my life, but occupied at least a big part of the last 5 to 6 years. So it's not a recent project. It's a project that we are working since a long time at Comlux. We were first discussing that with Bombardier at the time of the C series, then it stops. Because obviously Bombardier sold the C series to Airbus. And then we restart discussion with Airbus 2.5 years ago now. 2019. And it's probably the first time that we convince Airbus and we are very proud to work with them, but we convince Airbus that mixing a partner like us, which have an operational experience and a cabin experience, and Airbus, we can try to design a product which is unique in the market. The basic product is already a very modern and efficient aircraft, so it is obviously the construction of this product. But we have designed together with Airbus, with their inputs and with our inputs, a product in terms of general characteristic that we feel effectively is a game changer in the business jet industry. We have, and I think the main characteristic of the product, and I can after that speak a little bit about our involvement, but is that it is an aircraft which have a range which is up to 5,600 nautical miles, which is 12.5 to 13 hours range, which suits 96 to 97% of all the business jet flying in the world in a year. So obviously you don't have the super range, but you have something which fits probably the vast majority of the people. You have a cabin which is 73 square meter, which is almost the size of an ACJ cabin, a little bit smaller, 7 square meters smaller, but which is 2 times or 2.5 times a normal business jet. So you are just really making a huge difference in the combination of the range and the space. And up to now, the offer which was provided to the customer was the following: either you want to have the range, and you go for a Bombardier Global or a Dassault aircraft, and you can go 7,000 nautical miles. Very good. Okay, you never use it, but you can have it. Or you want to go for the comfort, and you go for an ACJ or a BBJ, as we said, and we're quite specialized in this market. But in general, you don't have the range. I think what we have achieved together with Airbus with this product is to have both of it. I mean, in 98% of the case. And we just realized that the comfort in a cabin is so important when you fly more than 10 hours. And especially for VIP customers, it's for all customers the same, but VIP customers will prefer a larger cabin, will prefer to have a bed of 2 meters by 2 meters, which is what we offer, which is the biggest bed that you can have in an aircraft, which will prefer to have a full height shower, will prefer to have space, to meet with their friends when they are traveling 12 to 13 hours. So that's really what we have achieved with Airbus. So it was a long discussion with Airbus. We are a risk-sharing partner with Airbus in this venture. So Airbus is developing the aircraft parts of the improvement of the aircraft to reach the range, to reach the cabin altitude, which is very good. We are developing the cabin and we're supporting the development cost for the cabin. And in exchange of that, we are a launch partner. We are a launch customer also of this aircraft. We have launched. We have been ordering and reselling, by the way, 2 aircraft, and we are reordering some options already. So and we are the exclusive partner of designing the cabin, or manufacturing the cabin and installing the cabin in our Indianapolis center, which for the next 16 aircraft, which is the first really big batch of this program, which will. We think the 16 aircraft will be produced in 4 years. And depending on the success, we can probably accelerate a little bit, but it is the plan today. So I think that's a real risk-sharing partner, which bring the strengths and the value, obviously, of Airbus as an aircraft manufacturer, which is designing an aircraft which has very, very good performance, improving the performance and the range, especially of the aircraft, to up to 5,600 nautical miles. We have used also designer of Airbus, which we are wanting to really brand the interior of the aircraft together with our designer and our engineers to design the best cabin in the world. And obviously all that, because we are competing with a business jet, we are doing that at the price of a business jet. And not at the price of Bizliner or something like that. So, without giving price in detail in the range of the high 70 or low 80 million dollar, which is equivalent to a business jet. And we are doing that because also we have developed a cabin which we want to do for the next 16 aircraft, which we will have worked a lot on the industrialization and optimization of the cost. Airbus has also worked on optimization of their cost so that we can propose this package product at this super competitive price. And it is always so rewarding. The first discussion we have done with the first customer, which, by the way, has bought one of our aircraft, when we speak about Airbus, he said, no, this is not for me because anyway, it's too expensive. And when we tell him, no, this aircraft all together with a cabin, with all options, is this price. He said, okay, then I will look at it. Yeah. So I think we are really putting and positioning this aircraft in between the 2 segments, as you said. I think it will be a game changer because we are very close in terms of price, or we are almost at the same price as the business jet. And we have effectively a comfort of the passenger, which is pretty unique. Even though we do industrialization, we have more than 100 configuration on this aircraft, so we can change a lot of elements in the aircraft, like you can do in all the business jet. You can change beds by divan, table, you name it, and the colors and everything you want, so that you have the flexibility to really design the aircraft as you like. But we are doing that in an industrial way so that we keep the cost at a level which allow us to sell this aircraft at an optimum price.
So is there like a menu of interior options?
Exactly.
So you go and you show.
You click and show, and if you and for those who listen to us, if they want to go to the Airbus Corporate Jet website, there is an application which is available where you can just click and paste, and you have automatically the 3D version of your interior which appear. You choose the color if you want more blue, green, or I don't know what, and you can really design your aircraft almost in in a minute, like you do with your Mercedes in the Mercedes website or BMW. I don't know who is it, depending on which one you are.
So those of us listening that have this purchase power, go and check it. And if not, you can go and do window shopping in the website. And what sort of elements do the people look for in this category of aircraft? Because that's looks serious even for people that might be in a position to consider a private jet. That's already, as you mentioned, a high level. What sort of materials or what sort of elements are considered a must for this type of jets?
I think in the current days, and it has evolved a lot in the last. The requirement from the customers have evolved a lot in the last 5 years due to technology. But in the current days, they want an aircraft which is fully connected, and it's the case of this aircraft. We have very high-speed internet in the aircraft, and they want an aircraft they can use like their own. And it's also the case because we have developed a system which allows every passenger with his telephone, with iPad, to broadcast on the big TV screen that you have in the aircraft, but also to just look at a movie through the internet that is allowing to do movie broadcasting or even video chat. So all that is something which is a must now, and we have really designed this aircraft to be I would say a connected aircraft, but a real modern connected aircraft that you just use with your iPhone. You can download the app and you will do the lighting and everything, the window closing with your iPhone. So there is no need to have something very specific. So it's a very modern design, and the people like that. Of course, every type of customer, they want to have a noise level which is very good, and we are at Comlux very innovative in the noise insulation of all the cabin we do in general, but on this one in particular, and we will be below 50 dB, which is a very good noise level for any aircraft you can fly. You can really sleep without any problem and without any air plug in general. So that's the innovation. Also we have, but this is more I would say the comfort innovation we have in this aircraft compared to the business jet. We have a galley area which is composed of a working galley for the crew, where they can prepare everything with oven and everything they want, and also a serving area for the passengers where they can come and chat like if they were in a bar, which is something which is a little bit unique in this market, and which really makes the aircraft very convivial and lively for the people, and the people in general. This type of VIP, they like to have their private areas, which they have in the back, but they also like to have area where they can enjoy with friends, and they can have a nice dinner. We have a table for 8 people, and dining together. They want to go and have a nice chat in the bar. They can be in the bar and have a chat.
How many people maximum can fit into the
up to 18 people in a
passengers.
So passengers, 19 passengers, up to 19 passengers in a standard configuration. And what we do in this, and it's also if you look at if you go to the website dedicated to the TwoTwenty, you will see that also. We also really try to show to everybody that not only standard takeoff and landing, number of passengers, which is 19, but also sleeping passengers. And when we count sleeping passengers, we count beds, which are 190 beds by 90 centimeters for one bed, and 2 by 2 for 2 beds. And this aircraft can have up to 11 to 12 full bedding position. And this is really depending on the configuration, which compared to a business jet is just unique and probably almost double of a real bedding position you can have in an aircraft. I don't speak about just laying down comfortably on your chair, but really having a full bed position, which is 2 chairs together with a mattress and everything.
Mm-hmm. And the crew, how many of them on board?
Well, this aircraft, because it's very modern, fly with two pilots, of course. It's a full fly-by-wire aircraft. In general, you have 1 or 2 cabin crew, depending on the type of service you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
We have a crew rest for a third pilot if needed for flights which are above 12 hours. And probably and the passengers, they prefer to have a third pilot in general, even if it's not always needed,
Mm-hmm.
but they prefer to have a third pilot. So that's really the composition of the crew. This aircraft, because it's a very modern design, has a very large maintenance interval, and you can fly with 2 crews. You don't have any maintenance in the middle. So it's really something which make the operation very easy. And because you have already 200 aircraft which have been delivered for the airline, and probably in a couple of years there will be 500, 600 or 700 aircraft flying in the world. You can find spares everywhere in the world. You can find pilots everywhere in the world. You can find expertise everywhere in the world, which is something which is very important for the customers.
Mm-hmm. And you told us earlier about the usual cost of operating on an hourly basis. One of the large the BBJs or ACJs. What's the operating cost of this one?
Well, I was speaking about the selling cost before. This one will probably be 20% lower in selling cost. Operating cost, it will be probably even cheaper than the business jet aircraft. I will not give you a precise figures because operating costs are in general very complicated to calculate, and you need to be sure you calculate that with all the parameters. So it's a little bit of a difficult to give an operating cost, but it is cheaper than a Gulfstream or a Bombardier aircraft, just because the maintenance is much cheaper. The pilot training is much cheaper in general. I mean, and the fuel consumption is roughly the same. We are a little bit more fuel consumption, but for an aircraft which is much bigger. Yeah. So on the fuel consumption by ton transported, we are consuming probably 20% less than Gulfstream. So I think we're somehow with this aircraft TwoTwenty project very eco-efficient, because the engine is probably the best engine you can find in the market with a very low emission, with very limited level of noise. So I think it's also, I mean, renewing the aircraft by more modern aircraft is obviously a path forward to the sustainability of the aviation, which is not an obvious subject, because transporting VIP people is not obvious to be sustainable. But I think transporting people in an aircraft, such a modern aircraft, which is lighter, which consume less, which make less emission, which make less noise, is something which is participating to the sustainability of the business aviation.
Yeah, actually, that's you touch upon a very important topic that we've been focusing a lot on in this podcast, is the sustainability. And we actually had an episode about executive aviation and sustainability recently. And I wanted to ask you, because you obviously must be talking with lots of people that are using this type of executive jet services. I don't know how much of a concern is the sustainability aspect. If this is something that is brought up, and this is an important point when basically offering services or trading this type of services.
Well, I think this type of course, the customers, it is our role, I think, as VIP operators and VIP actors, to highlight the importance of sustainability to the customers, and the use of sustainable aviation fuel is something that we start to discuss with our customers. This has a price. Unfortunately, today, I mean, it is still not completely, I will say, not operational, but not completely user-friendly, just because of the different location where you can find the sustainable aviation fuel. But a lot of the customers are already listening very carefully to that and are ready to embark there if we give them, I mean, the assurance that their operation will not be disturbed. I mean, what a lot of the public people need to understand is that business aviation is aviation, but it's also business. And why it's business? Because a lot of these people which are using these aircraft are using that in the majority of the cases for business, and in some cases for their pleasure, but in majority of the cases for business. And what if they use that for business just because they are traveling a lot? They need to be probably more fresh when they arrive. They have a 3 hours meeting in the other side of the planet, and they have another meeting right after, or they have a meeting in the aircraft. So it is a business tool more than of course, for people which are the money to spend for that, but it's a business tool, and I think these people are conscious about the importance of sustainability, and they are ready to embark on it. On the subject of the TwoTwenty, what we are doing is that we are proposing material, more and more material, which are sustainable material in the interior, for example. So we try to avoid any plastic material, but more natural material. Okay, it is not 100% possible, but we are pushing for that, just to make the aircraft overall more sustainable. And obviously, as a company, we are working on sustainability more, I would say, in our operation, which is more, having reduced electricity, reduced heating or electricity, or use of solar panels, for example, on big hangars. That's the type of initiative we are doing, which is more, I would say, at the corporate level, and also for our people, just because I think everybody which is working with us is also interested in sustainability. We are pushing for that.
All right. And what's the status now of this program? You have delivered already the first 2 aircraft, right? Out of 14 or 15? 16. And the first 2, they went to...
No, the first one has been delivered from Airbus to our completion center. It's now actually, as we speak, in completion, or in interior refit.
Okay.
So that's the first aircraft, which will be delivered at the end of this year. The second aircraft will arrive a little bit later this year, and then we will have 3 aircraft per year starting next year. In terms of program sales, so we have an agreement, or a cooperation agreement, with Airbus on the first 16 aircraft of this program already, including our 2 aircraft. 10 aircraft have been sold or have been purchased by a certain number of customers. Some leasing company, which is very interesting. This is coming from Airbus, which some leasing company wants to purchase that to resell or lease, or even resell by the hours, like fractional ownership. And then some other customers, not announced in terms of the name, because in general people are. But some big names in the US, I would say, and some big name in the East. So and we have the first customer we have is from Dubai. So we have a variety of people. I would say that the market of this aircraft, because it's much more modern aircraft, it's probably a new segment. We are touching a lot of the industry people, or successful industry players, which are more in the 40 to 50 years old, which want something which is more modern, probably more sustainable at some point in time, even though not 100%.
Not in absolute terms, but in relative terms.
In relative terms, more sustainable. So I think this type of businessmen are really the target of this aircraft. And so far, for the time being, we have launched the aircraft together with Airbus in October 2020, which is a bit more than a year ago, in the time of the COVID. So we have not done really a lot of face-to-face discussion, even though we have tried with a lot of customers, because the last months were not so easy. But despite that, I think we are almost already 10 commitments out of the 16, and then we hope that the 16 is just the first batch of our cooperation with Airbus. And Airbus target in terms of the market size of this aircraft is more in the 150 aircraft size. Okay, we are starting with 16, which is very good, but I'm sure we will go much further than that together with Airbus, just because we will deliver the best product in the world.
And are you taking the jet to any air shows in the near future where people can see it for real?
Well, the people will be capable to see this aircraft when it will be completed and fitted, which will be after NBAA, unfortunately. So most probably we will showcase this aircraft at Dubai Air Show, I can expect or hope. or right after Dubai Air Show. It will really depend on how. I mean, now I cannot tell you when by the day this aircraft will be finished. It's also the first aircraft of a series, so it requires a lot more involvement and check and probably refinement before. I mean, the next aircraft will be much quicker in terms of the cabin fitting, but the first aircraft is really a sort of a prototype of the series, so we need to take a lot of attention to it.
Yeah, everything has
to. I will not give you a date today because it's
you want to make sure everything is perfect with the first one.
Exactly. And we will be looked by the whole business aviation, because I think this is the first time we have this type of aircraft which will come as an offer. So a lot of people will look at that. I mean, the competition will look at that, but a lot of people will want to look at that in detail. Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to get lots of attention. So for people that want to learn more about Comlux and about the TwoTwenty, which, by the way, I should have said that TwoTwenty as a brand, you use it as written in letters, like all together, TwoTwenty.
Yeah. 220.
And where should they go? Like Comlux.com, obviously, for
I think on the Comlux.com we have a specific.
But you have a site, right? You have a dedicated
on
site.
the Comlux.com site we have a specific site for ACJ 220. Airbus has also a specific site for the ACJ 220, where the same type of information, whether on the aircraft or on the cabin, are available. You can configure in both sites. You can configure your cabin as you like. If you want to dream about buying an aircraft, or if you want to buy an aircraft, which is even better, you can go on both sites, and you will have all the information you need. Of course, to just look at what are the performance of this aircraft and what are the beauty and the versatility and the comfort of the cabin. Because I think that's really, the key of this aircraft is the performance and the comfort and the versatility of the cabin. That's really what is making it completely different than any other offer today in the world.
Excellent. Well, Arnaud, thank you so much for all this very detailed explanation about what you guys have been working on this very exciting project, the TwoTwenty. I'm definitely going to do some window shopping and go to see which cabin interior I would like to have if I can come across $80 million to get one of those.
You are welcome. We will make you a special offer.
Okay, great. So thank you so much. I'm gonna be putting the show notes with all the references we've been talking about, and all the best with the rollout of this very exciting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Before you go, and if you like this podcast, a quick reminder that it would be absolutely great if you could please give it a rating on Apple, Spotify, or whichever platform you're using, or recommend it to a friend or whomever might be interested. Thank you very much, and see you soon.